Jeff Meacham Networks, Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday evening or night, depending on what part of the world you're in. Welcome to this newest installment of the Dads, Not Always on Wrestling. I am, of course, the man speaking behind the curtain because I can't get the freaking graphic off the screen because my phone moves too slow. There we go. Good old where's the freaking background? It's gonna be one of those days. Cool. Good old JM, Jeff Meacham. Over here, the Renegade of Wrestling himself, JJ Williams. And man, it has been a breakneck pace today, and we got one more show to go, my friend. How the hell are you doing this evening? I know we talked this morning, but how you been? How you feeling?
I'm doing okay. You know, definitely feeling it, but it is what it is. I've got me some warm tea here. I've got me some cough drops.
There you go. Telling you people, cough drops are saving the machine.
Yeah. Trying to grind through, and if y'all appreciate me grinding through, a super chat would show how much you love us.
That's right. These microphones are expensive. Get some super chat to get these quality cough drops into the studios here. For the love of God. Anyway, it's good to see everybody in the chat room. Let's see who's all one of you actually commenting. So thank you, Josh, for being here. Here we go. Dads with the coolest dads in California. Of course, I don't know how many dads you know here in Southern California, but we appreciate it nonetheless.
Yes.
And yes, as JJ said, he's feeling it, and I am completely exhausted. And you guys have no idea how exhausted I am. I had a very exhausting lunch meeting with a friend that turned into a 4-hour basically therapy session. So it's been a day, and I am here for it. Good to see Benny in the chat room as well. But brother, let's get into this because we kind of threw this one out as a potential topic longer ago than I think I remember it actually being brought up.
Yeah, definitely came up last year. It was something we were supposed to do, I want to say around Thanksgiving time originally.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And then it ended up getting pushed. And it was like, well, what the hell? Let's kick off the year with it.
Might as well. Most teams would want that kind of push, except we're not pushing them up the card. We're pushing them down the card. We're pushing them off the schedule. So, but we are here to talk about the top 10 tag teams that have been active in the 21st century. Now, basically, January 1st, 2001 to January 23rd, 2024, 1984. We're celebrating that, but that's a whole other show that we're not doing on this channel because if I do a stream about Hulkamania in 40 years, we'll be here for another 40 years. Brother.
Pretty much. In fact, I think this was originally supposed to be our first show of the year.
It was supposed to be, yeah.
But then when they announced it Bound for Glory, the TNA was coming back. It was like, no. The show going into Hard to Kill has to be TNA centric.
It has to be. And having done so many Rumble themed shows in the past, it was like, all right, let's get this tag team one done before we keep pushing it away that it just goes away for real at the end of the day.
Well, there were a couple tag teams that we pushed off the list in a way for real, and
Well, no, we did.
will give the Devils their due and honorable mentions, but
Yes, and I completely forgot because we pushed them out of our minds.
good.
So,
That's
do you want to talk about them now, or you want to talk about them later?
I will. We can talk about them now. I was 175% adamant we were not going to include the Young Bucks on this list.
Yes.
Jeff really wanted to. He tried to sell me on it, but it was just it was smashing your junk against a brick wall. There was no budge for me on this.
Yeah, no. There's only so many times you can smash your shit against the wall before it starts to hurt your wee-wee, and I'm good at it at this point. You know, I'm almost 41. I don't need to be hurt my wee-wee for no reason. I'm good.
You know, I mean, I will acknowledge the fact that they have been a major force since their debut. It's about as much positivity as you're going to get me to speak on them.
And that's fair.
But I personally felt that there were so many other teams that deserved inclusion on the list.
Yes.
Good to see that.
Good to see you, brother. We're doing okay.
Other teams that just deserved it way more than them, especially when you figure they would not exist if it wasn't for the Rockers, the Hardys, and the X Division.
Yeah.
So the Rockers were a team of the 80s. They didn't get mentioned.
I know.
Hardys, maybe not. We'll hear about them a little bit later.
And there are teams.
And I did just think about something, because there is a kind of a conglomerate that we will be discussing later that they definitely fall into a subgenre of.
That's fair. That's a valid statement. So they're technically on the list. If y'all are going to get a hard on for us not having the buzz.
Even though they weren't the team that we gravitated towards.
Yes.
They definitely, being an offshoot of that Too Sweet stable that will be mentioned later.
Yes. It was labor for sure. But we'll start off with a team that everybody's probably going to go, wait, what? Like, why? It doesn't make sense. It'll make sense in a second. Come in number 10, DX.
Yes.
Specifically, Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Yes, because any other version of DX that performed during the 21st century was called the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They were under the banner of D-Generation X, but only Triple H and Shawn Michaels came out calling themselves DX.
Yes.
And it was just one of those things that we wanted back in 2002.
Yeah.
And didn't get, and were forced to wait like 4 more years before we finally got it.
Yeah. But when we got it, it was great.
Exactly. Neither one of them should have been at the level that they were at, being reduced to tag team action at that point. But they were being used to put over new talent. You think about the Rated RKO feud. You think about the feud with Legacy.
Yep.
You know, they were being used as the guys to groom the guys. And I think that's why we put them on the list here.
Yeah.
More of a respect thing than anything else.
Yeah, DX definitely, as Josh points out, their reign as tag team champions compared to the other teams on this list, what, TLC 09 to like, I want to say February or March 2010, maybe even before that?
Something like that.
Very short reign. But when you think about the fact that there was no, by God, good reason DX should have been back together in the first place, let alone having a lengthy, when you really think about it, they were together on screen in the latter half of the the 2000 to 2010s, or 2010, excuse me, they were together on screen longer than their original run. Because their original run, they kind of fooled around, danced with each other, teamed with each other after SummerSlam, but they didn't call themselves DX along with Hunter and China until the day after Bad Blood. So October of 97 until WrestleMania 98. Even shorter than their tag team run during this era.
Yeah.
But they were together for the majority of 06 until, or the latter half of 06 until Shawn's retirement.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. And we would be, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that this team, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, run WWE now.
Yeah.
And they are a major force and impacting everything we see on television right now on WWE.
Yeah.
So, if nothing else, they
From
make
the minor leagues to the main roster.
Yeah. And it is Triple H's creative turnaround. I'm going to call it that and be brave. That led to having to break news this morning. So, just saying. So number 9 is where we're going to get the brief blip that you can maybe have the young Bucks fans sneak their way in here.
Yeah.
Because as you said, I mean, DX was definitely an offshoot of Too Sweet because DX is the NWO. No, they weren't. Okay.
No, it
these
was
guys,
the Clique that split into 2 factions.
Yes. Click North, Click South. At the end of the day. That's what it was. They just happened to add this guy and another 80s WWF star as the third man brother, if you will. But
and about 372 other members that really probably didn't need to be there at any point.
Looking at you, Beefcake.
Kind of like this group.
I like this group because it started out small, and they still exist even now. God damn it all! And every company,
I was going to say there is an incarnation of this stable in every major company.
Every company we cover on the
TNA, to WWE, to AEW.
But the team we are singling out because they did perform everywhere. And as far as I know, they won titles everywhere. They didn't perform AEW, so that we're not going to count that. But everywhere they went, the gold was sure to go. Luke Gallows, Doc Gallows, whatever you want to call him, and Carl, the Mucker Fuddin' Machine Gun Anderson, by God, and by proxy, the Bullet Club at number 9.
Yeah. I was going to say, you've got ABC over in TNA. You've got
the reigning tag team champions.
You've got the Good Brothers, part of the OC in WWE. You've got Bullet Club Gold with Juice and Jay and the Guns.
Yeah, but they're
You've
not
got whatever the contingent is in New Japan now that David Finlay is leading.
Yes.
You know, I'm surprised there's not a AAA version.
Probably,
you know, kind of like how there was NWO Japan back in the day. You know.
Hey, Jeff Farmer got his career extended because of NWO Japan. You do not mock the bogus thing.
But I mean, the Bullet Club, arguably, and this is a bold statement on my end, arguably the most influential stable in wrestling history since the Horsemen. And I only say that because I've always felt that this wouldn't exist without this.
Fair.
And at the end of the day, Bullet Club even uses the old NWO hand sign for their shit. So you could maybe argue NWO, but
yeah,
the Horsemen were the original cool heel stable.
Yeah.
And even if every member of the Bullet Club wasn't top tier, You know, you want James to clip what I just said, Mansfield. Here's another one for you. Let's not forget that JEFF, JARRETT was a member of the Bullet Club as well.
And the NWO. And the Horsemen.
Yeah. But
unofficially part of the clique.
But my point being is Jeff Jarrett in the Bullet Club is like Virgil in the NWO.
Oh, it's not that bad. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious.
Horace Hogan.
Okay, I'll give you Horace. No, because Jarrett was a main eventer.
But he didn't belong in the Bullet Club is my point.
That's fair. Okay. I will put up Josh's comment for a very specific reason. The problem with them having official shirts for the Bullet Club is the guys that created Bullet Club won't get the royalties for it. Guess how much royalties Eric Bischoff gets from WWE Shop off of NWO? Can't tell me Ghetto's going to want to relinquish that royalty. Are you freaking ribbon? That's money in that man's pocket after all these years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Bischoff's making royalties now in the NWO shirts now? Because they signed a affiliate agreement with the Fanatics branch of WWE Shop through ad-free shows. So if you go to Shop Wrestling, wherever the hell that link is, that's how they get the money now. So Bischoff might now be making a tenth of what he should be, but by God, he's making money on the NWO now. So yeah,
he's making Maven residual checks. And Maven has shown us what his residuals look like on his website.
Yes, he has. That is an accurate statement. You know who else is probably still making residual money off of old clips and old merch because they should be? The original purveyor of cowboy shit. No, not you. Hey, no. I'm talking about a guy who, unlike a hangman, was a legitimate badass cowboy from Tennessee. And he's not just part of one team on our list. Nay. Because at number 8, we're copping it. We're 2 teams because of the member that's not part of both.
The shared member.
America's Most Wanted and beer. Money! There you go. Chris Harris with James Storm. Bobby Roode with James Storm. And since the dog's in the bark, I'll let you expunge on both these teams while I calm her down.
I mean, the common denominator obviously is James Storm. But the interesting part in this is that when you look at both teams, at no point did you think James Storm was going to be a champion first. Chris Harris was well poised to be the breakout star of AMW. Went to WWE, had the Braden Walker tragedy, 3-disc best of series, barely was ever heard from again.
That's it.
Then did the beer money thing. Bobby Roode was poised to be the breakout star.
He was a
won
star.
The Bound for Glory tournament. Had his match against Kurt Angle. Lost. Next week on Impact, the follow-up show to the pay-per-view, James Storm wins the title. Out of nowhere. What the hell?
Yeah, what? Yeah, what?
And the following week, Bobby Roode takes it from James Storm.
Yeah. And turns heel in the process. Takes out Storm as a result of it. Yeah. It was
Sounds like some Tony Khan booking here. Let me just throw a dart at a balloon and see whose name comes out of it.
Right. It's a piñata!
But
sorry.
I mean,
sorry,
it just... I love James Storm. I'm not trying to clown him. Don't get it twisted.
No, I love James. Great guest on the show back at the day.
But yeah, it was just insanity.
Yeah, it was one of those. All right. But both these teams definitely it was so discussed that we couldn't eliminate one or the other. So that's why we copped out at the end of the day.
Because AMW, along with teams like Triple X, the Disciples of the New Church, even Team Canada, 3 Life Crew,
Yes.
the Naturals, really defined that early stage of NWA TNA.
Yes.
Whereas Beer Money really defined that, we'll call it the Spike TV into the Bischoff and Hogan era of TNA.
That's fair.
So,
and yeah, when you have a career like you do, and you have to what appears to be ending it because of a injury beyond your control, and you still end up being a hell of a producer and being the right hand of arguably the producer in the WWE, you did all right for yourself. Okay, these next two gentlemen have definitely had a roller coaster ride just within this screen's fandoms. But when you think about it, and there was a comment made up earlier that I'll get to when we get to the other team and that triumvirate that was mentioned. These two guys started out the century still well in the WWF tag team title hunt, won the WCW tag titles over that summer, or maybe into the fall. And they broke up, and they got back together. And then one left. And then one had his life turned upside down by adultery and shenanigans. And their lives just kind of went where they went. But then they came back together in the 2010s and went on what they very accurately described as an expedition of gold. And that's why they're on this list, because they still maintained their dominance throughout a good majority of the last 22 years, 23 years. Matt and Jeff, the Hardys. Now, I know somebody on this screen very famously tore a picture of Jeff Hardy in half after what happened at Victory Road, I think it was.
mm-hmm.
And that was 13, 14 years ago. And the Hardys, even now, with all the ups and downs that they still continue to have, you cannot deny their success that has endured in spite of their seemingly own attempts to self-sabotage. They've won championships every single company promotion they've attempted to do it in.
Yep. I think the only major company that they never touched them in was ECW. And AEW currently, but they're technically under contract and it could still happen.
Yeah, and the ECW tag titles didn't exist when they had the opportunity, because the ECW tag titles didn't come over with the Alliance purchase, nor the actual relaunch in 2006. So
it almost makes you wonder why, with the talent exchange that was going on back then, Vince wouldn't have loaned them to ECW to get like an Impact Players versus the Hardys, to get a Nova and Shetty versus the Hardys, a Dorian and Roadkill versus the Hardys, like the FBI versus the Hardys. Obviously not the Dudleys at that point, because the Dudleys had already left, but there's enough other tandems there. The Unholy Alliance, Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri versus the Hardys.
Yes.
I'm just a little bit surprised about that one.
And even then, the Hardys' enduring memory, unfortunately, in WWECW is having Joey Mercury's nose explode through his head because of the ladder botch. That was on the ECW show. So,
good times. Good times.
Oh, you're so terrible. Yeah.
Hey, not a grudge left feelings towards Mercury and my reasons for it. Damn it.
No, I don't even, I'm not even fighting that. I'm not even fighting that. That's why I'm laughing, because I can't find a goddamn bit of it. But,
And for
yeah,
the record, despite my feeling on that, I did try to fight for Eminem
he
as a
did.
potential on this list,
He did. And I will
as
completely
well
throw
as The
myself.
Miz and Morrison, because I was
Yes.
totally down to do what we just did with James Storm and put
Yes.
the two of them together because of Morrison.
And I will throw myself under that bus. I love John. He's a friend. But he never got there, right? Like he was always going to be that guy who almost became a consistent long-term guy on the roster who the company went, he's our guy.
But
Almost.
the counterpoint, this list isn't about the top 10 guys that broke through the ceiling and became main eventers.
I
It's
understand
top
that.
10 tag teams. And as a
Right.
tag team, both teams were pretty solid tandems and deserve.
Well, they're getting mentioned, and I will even call John Morrison and his teams honorable mentions. But did they do as tandems, Miz and Morrison or Nitro and Mercury? Did they do more than, greater than, better than the teams we've listed or the teams that are coming?
What do you
My
guys think?
argument.
Leave your thoughts in the comments.
Exactly. My argument was no, and that's why they're getting mentioned now, because John is a friend and Mike Mathan's a friend, and
because some people may dispute and argue that they deserve it over DX.
That was my thought process. Had we put them on here, for the record. Anyway, the Hardys, again, you couldn't, and people are going to say, what about Edge and Christian? They broke up in the summer of 2001. They were together
6 months, maybe, out of 24 years. 23
years. Figure Edge won the Intercontinental title in August. I think the turn with the ridiculous Stanley Cup looking King of the Ring trophy was not too far after that. So at the very best, 3/4 of a year out of 23.
Yeah,
they don't make the list. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
They may make Jericho's list. But they don't make ours.
Especially Christian. No doubt about it. Maybe Adam, too, because Adam probably pissed Chris off at some point.
Yeah, that's fair.
The other team in that TLC triumvirate, stay tuned. In between, however, for the interim, we have a team that I had absolutely no problem putting on this list. We love both these guys. We got to see both these guys in action numerous times in PWG out here in, today anyway, sunny SoCal. And they've gone on to not only be one of the most dominant tag teams in TNA history, they've also been champions in Ring of Honor and other companies they've gone to. They held the junior heavyweight tag titles in New Japan, as well as the, I think you said, the strong openweight tag titles in that company.
Yes.
On top of that, they've gone on to be, with all respect to our phenomenal friend, the most dominant X Division champion in the company history. And up until 2 weeks ago, a TNA / Impact World Champion.
Yep.
Motor City Machine Guns.
No, Josh, you did not. This is the first team we've said since the Hardys.
There you go, brother. Somehow the universe knew you were on a biological break, so you're good to go. Yes. Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, two of my favorite people I've met in wrestling, period. Let me just throw that out there right now.
Agreed.
I love both these men to pieces. Especially Chris Sabin, all the shenanigans he contributed to XMV back in the day that we could never air ever again. But it was fun at the time. Anyway, but I never get tired of watching these boys, ever. They're so fun to watch. They are the reason why the X Division endured beyond specialty matches, because these guys can wrestle any style of match. Both of them went on to both of them started out as singles competitors under the TNA banner. And then let's just see what happens. Shit, look what happened. Magic happened. And then both of them went on to become world champion. Alex Shelley more recently.
Yeah.
But
took him a little longer, but he got there.
Chris Sabin's arguably my favorite option to see, if I'm being honest. Just because of the way, nobody expected him to beat Bully Ray, let alone hold it for as long as he did. That was super cool. So I enjoyed both these guys as singles and, of course, as the Machine Guns. One of the cooler themes in TNA history, too, that they've pretty much kept intact. Love their theme.
Yeah. Machine Guns are just a phenomenal team. And you talk about being able to help the X Division endure beyond just, the specialty matches. I would say that the majority of the X Division stars that broke through the ceiling were like that. You also had AJ Styles, you had Samoa Joe, you had Jay Lethal.
Yep. Think about, people always talk about how that style would have these guys in a wheelchair not able to endure a career for more than a couple of years. Sabin's still wrestling, still a champion. Shelley just lost the world title. Jay Lethal's still a prominent figure in our television screens. Sanjay Dutt, while not in the ring, is still part of that Jay Lethal presentation. AJ Styles is wrestling for the... What's that?
Said for now.
For now. I mean,
we'll see what happens with that storyline as it develops.
Yes, that's fair. AJ Styles in a world title match on Saturday in WWE, mind you. Chris Daniels still wrestles occasionally on Ring of Honor television and is a prominent figure within AEW. Mm-hmm. Samoa Joe's AEW World Champion. But I don't get the X Division. That's just a copy of the Cruiserweights. Nope.
Bobby Lashley.
Kurt Angle, while not a X Division lauded star, he was X Division champion. He was a belt collector before Kenny Omega coined that phrase. Him and Joe both. The X Division is such a integral, influential part of this generation of wrestling, and it chaps my ass when people claim they don't understand it. Machine Guns definitely belong on this list. It was argued that it should be higher, and I fought hard, but against it. JJ was all for it, putting them up higher. But I said these teams we got coming, I think just deserve it more, and he conceded. But What do you guys think out there? Again, let us know.
Super chat.
Yes, all the super chats. I did say earlier that we were going to talk about the other part of the TLC triumvirate that wasn't Edge and Christian. The Hardys were already on here, so let's just dive right in, brother. Devon,
get the table.
Yes, always. Would that be the head of that table that Roman's longer seated at, where Rock is now after being a board member?
Just saying.
Anyway, just saying. Yeah.
Natalie, acknowledge Dwayne.
Oh boy, it's gonna be a fun trip. Anyway, the Dudleys, Team 3D, Bully Ray, Brother Ray, Devon, Bubba. Well, wait a minute, Jeff. They were only together. No. They've only recently broken up. If you really think about the last 23 years, and again,
when
the criteria,
they did the original draft, they were separated.
Yep.
Bubba
and that latter.
Bubba did his thing, kind of teamed with Spike a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Had more of a singles push in the hardcore division that was still around at the time.
Yep.
Devon floundered.
Yeah.
If we're being real, the only thing Devon truly did during that break was bring us Batista.
Yeah.
He introduced us to Deacon Batista, who then became the Animal.
Can you imagine?
And that is about as much as I'm going to say about Batista, because I don't want to start going down that path. I was a good boy for the Young Bucks. I'm going to be
Yes.
a good boy with Batista.
Yes. Yes. For the Batista fans, though, can you imagine if they had allowed that Reverend Devon character to drag him down and not let him realize his potential where it was? Man, that would have been catastrophic for that era, because man, Evolution would have been a thing, and I love me some Evolution, brother. Anyway, the Dudleys
When you
again.
get right down to it,
Yes.
both Cena and Batista could have been dead in the water before January of 03. If Deacon Batista and Reverend Devon had lasted, and if Cena had not been allowed to rap at that Halloween party, both of them would have been on the chopping block and fired.
Yep. That shows that not all the trips to Europe are bad, folks. Just stay on the buses, don't go on the planes. Because the planes to Europe and back are clearly bad, especially 2002. But the Dudleys, other than their ECW tag title runs, which were in the 90s, every championship you see in that picture where they've got, gold, more gold all over them than a Razor Ramon promo picture, were all after January 2001.
Yep.
Every version of the WWE tag titles that existed when they were there. The WCW tag titles in 2001.
WCW, WWE, SmackDown.
Yep. Yeah, the world tag titles that spun off into those, right? So you've got every version there prior to 2005. The WCW tag titles in that summer. Then again, I think everybody got turned with those. They were like the town whore, for being honest. Hey, I watched Undertaker and Kane win those damn belts from Palumbo and O'Hara, and almost got my ass kicked by Palumbo's brother because I was being a little rough on Chuck. Not as rough as Billy's gimmick was, but anyway, correct me when I'm wrong. Then they went to TNA and almost immediately became the NWA. As a matter of fact, they were the last reigning NWA tag champions before the big dust up with the NWA. They were, by definition, the first TNA branded World Tag Team Champions. IWGP titles. I don't think they ever competed in Ring of Honor together, but they probably would have won it there if they had. And another team that really, even Devon, was able to find that little nugget of single success. But Bubba more so, let's be real, in TNA. And then they came back. And they weren't as successful in their run when they came back in 2015, 2016, but we still got another round with the Dudleys again. They were a multiple tag team title winning group throughout the last 2 decades. And they belong on this list.
Absolutely.
And
to
that
Josh's... Go ahead.
I was going to say, this comment is so crazy. And no, Edge and Christian aren't coming, which is why I mentioned it earlier. Edge and Christian aren't going to be here because they broke up within 9 months of this 23 years. So,
yeah.
But if Adam and Christian Cage actually do reform somehow, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And that is a testament to medical science and the 6 men's passion for the business. That's too cool for school. I love that.
I was going to address the other comment that he put up. Why should either of those teams be on here, Josh, in all seriousness?
Yeah.
What did Flair and Batista bring to the table as a tag team that any of these other teams didn't do 100 times better? And Batista and Ray were champs for a cup of coffee.
And put together because of Eddie's passing, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Like I'm being sarcastic here, but I think David Otunga and John Cena had a more meaningful reign than Batista and Rey Mysterio.
That's accurate. And each main evented the flagship show on their brand at the time. So there you go. And as far as Evolution and Flair and Batista, I think they were champions. I think, again, they weren't even together for a full year, either team. let alone, whatever. And yes, I know it was a precedent. All right, let's see, get rid of that. Where are we at here? Yes, number 4, which for most of the Dads fans is going to be a surprise.
And let me just say that as we get to these 4, me and Jeff already had our list, and we were just trying to rank them, figuring out where we were going to put them. And I said, well, as far as I'm concerned, number 1 is between 4 teams.
Right.
So 4 through 1 are those teams.
Yes.
And it's really just a matter on any given day, based on what you like. Any one of them could be number 1. If we're really being honest, it could seriously be a cop out and be 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D.
Right. The number 4 is going to be surprised because up until, and this is going to sound worse than it needs to, but up until their final run together in Ring of Honor at the end and briefly in AEW when they appeared there, we weren't fans of these guys because of our past experiences going to watch them and not getting to see them because of shenanigans.
Yes.
Number 4, well, I get this poor dog spazzed out, is Mark and Jay, the Briscoes. Take it away, brother, real quick.
Yeah. And to Jeff's point, if we're being 100% honest with ourselves and the fans, it took Jay's passing for us to lighten up on our hatred towards the Briscoes. If Jay hadn't died, we would still probably be talking massive shit about them and running them down at virtually every twist and turn. I'm just being 100 with everybody.
No, that's fair.
There were many a show for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla that Jeff and I went to because the Briscoes were one of the teams announced. Now, granted, that wasn't the driving force of our going.
No.
We were going to see the other people on the show. But there were many a PWG show that we went to that they were booked on, and they decided to no-show us. Could it have been a travel incident? Of course, it happens. But to happen consistently?
Yeah.
Sounds a little sus.
Yes. As the kids say.
Could it have been they were just in dark places? Could have been.
Possibly.
Jay Briscoe's tweets were brought to light and part of why they were kept off of AEW television until his passing.
Yeah.
So they very easily could have been in dark places at those points. But if we're being real, we probably wouldn't have them ranked this high. We probably wouldn't be able to give them their due. And we would probably still be talking massive shit about the Briscoe brothers if Jay was still alive.
And we admit to that personal bias.
Absolutely.
And we both feel it's that.
However, their series with FTR,
God,
going into his passing, whether I liked them or I didn't like them, was some of the greatest tag team wrestling I had ever fucking seen in my life.
It was next level. And when you go back into his
Hardy's and Edge and Christian, it was the Hart Foundation, the Rockers. It was Arn and Tully versus any fucking buddy they stepped in the ring with.
Yeah.
It was that level.
It was. It made us remember why the 2000s tag team resurgence in WWF was so important to us. It made us remember why the 80s tag team division dynasty was so important to tag team wrestling fans.
Absolutely.
The Briscoes, when you think of Ring of Honor, even now, I dare say after Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, and CM Punk, you think of the Briscoes. And that's why they were the inaugural Hall of Fame class. Those 4 entities.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it depends on when you came into Ring of Honor. Because once Danielson left for the E, Once Punk left for the E, once Joe left for TNA, the Briscoes were still there holding it down.
Yep.
So if you came into TNA, or excuse me, into Ring of Honor after those three had already been gone,
Yep.
arguably you think of the Briscoes first.
Yep. The Briscoes were to Ring of Honor what AJ Styles was to TNA for 11 years.
That's
he was
fair.
the constant. He was the constant. He was the they were the Undertaker in WWE. Everybody else sought greener, greater pastures. The Briscoes never, ever, at least to my knowledge, stepped out on Ring of Honor. And
it could be due to their demons early on, and they weren't allowed to go anywhere. Nowhere else wanted them, but Ring of Honor was still willing to keep them. We don't know the logistics behind it.
No,
but they definitely deserve a spot on here, and I was willing to give them that. And I think Jeff was surprised that I spoke them as highly as I did as one of the four that I would put at number one.
I was legitimately shocked by that. So I commended him then. I'll commend him now on the air and in public, if you will, at the growth and recognition as a fan and as a human being. I thought that was super cool to be able to get past that, because, you know, and even be able to talk good about the Bucks as little as we did. We still did that, much in the same vein as, you know, we've done before. We try very hard on this show as far as, you know, Dads is probably our most subjective show that we do across the multiverse. If we're being 100% honest, but we still like to keep it real, and we still like to acknowledge, you know, great, recognize great.
And it's that form of keeping it real that is what put them at number 4, because Jeff even pointed out in our production meeting that the only reason we would even consider them at number 1 is because of Jay's passing.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
And that's why they ended up being number 4.
Yes.
Number 3, however.
Number 3. I think we need to, if we could ever get him on a show, talk to Baron Corbin about. I say that because this team and its formation are what caused my then 6-year-old son to change fandoms from, we'll call him the team leader, because that's really what he ended up being at the end of the day.
Especially in the early days. To Baron Corbin, because this gimmick was so much a departure for the team leader. And all these years later, Baron Corbin felt it necessary when I mentioned that he apologized to my son through me. Because Baron Corbin, once he got called to the main roster, has not deserved Dylan, my beautiful boy, changing fandoms from Kofi Kingston, strictly because Kofi Kingston formed the New Day with Big E Langston, Big E, and Xavier Woods. And yes, Josh, New Day is only at number 3.
Yes.
We have our reasons.
Yes.
Buckle in, get your popcorn, refill your bevy.
That's right.
We're gonna give you our logic.
Yes.
Chill.
Up until earlier last year, the first quarter of last year, the argument would have been New Day at number 1.
Yeah.
And it probably gives you a big clue where we're going later, but it is what it is. But you can't, as goofy as the gimmicks were, as much as Xavier and Kofi acknowledge the goofiness on Monday night, all three of them, not only under the Freebird rule, had the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Championship run since Demofrickin-lition. They all went on to either become world champion, WWE champion, whatever you want to call it, or have a pretty decent singles run. Yes, Xavier only became King of the Ring, but he was the funnest King of the Ring. I love me some King Woodsy. So, but again, multiple time tag team champions on both brands, and they surpassed the record that nobody would ever be thought touched. I'll tell you this, Jay. I'm wearing this shirt for a reason today. We all know it. I'm not going to sit there and go into it. It's not what the show's about today. This show, anyway. That's still the one reign from that era of WWE that hasn't been caught yet.
Yeah. And it's funny because Josh in the chat room is saying that he feels that they should have never broken Demolition's record. But I would be willing to bet that he feels that Hogan's needs to be broken.
Well, because Hogan didn't do shit for the business.
So that's where I find hypocrisy there.
Ooh, I haven't been this in a while. Hypocrisy, da 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 da. Hypocrisy. I haven't been hypocrisy in a long time. That was fun. I miss that shit. Anyway, we love you, Josh. Nice little twit. Anyway, yeah, the New Day surpassed Demolition. Gunter broke the honky tonky meter. What the actual hell? Please don't touch Hogan's, please. Don't ask. But the New Day did it. And they did it. People bitched about it. People are bitching about it in the chat room right now. But all records are made to be broken. And the New Day are still such a popular act. But, 6-year-old kid doesn't understand why these three black men are coming out here acting like preachers. But this guy in NXT is cool looking biker dude. Lone Wolf. I'm down with that. Yeah. Again, Dylan, Mr. Corbin is sorry.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what him and Braun do tonight on NXT.
Right. Dusty Classic. God, wouldn't that be great if they ended up winning the tournament and the titles? God damn, that'd be so great. What a redemption story for Baron Corbin. With a Steiner as his tag team partner, no less.
I have a feeling, and again, Josh has mentioned it a couple times in the chat, no NXT spoilers.
Yes.
I have a feeling that the finals are going to be Braun and Corbin versus Trick Mello.
Oh, man. If they pull that Trick Mello trigger, they might actually win this damn tournament, brother. That'd be great. Anyway, we digress. I know we're not digressing a whole bunch anymore, but we are going to, because we do want to get to the last two teams.
Yes.
The
reason why the New Day aren't number 2, Josh, is because the team that we put at number 2 wasn't just confined to the E.
That's right.
Much like the Dudleys, much like the Machine Guns, much like the Hardys, much like the Bullet Club, they have won tag gold in virtually every company they have stepped into. In the E, they were known as the Revival. Outside of the E, they are known as FTR. Fuck the Revival.
Dax Harwood. Oh, no, Dash Dawson. No, no, that was the name of WWE. Dax Harwood.
And Cash Wheeler.
Cash Wheeler. God, I always forget Cash's last name. Oh, well.
The belt collectors of the modern tag team era.
Yep.
When Omega was going around getting all the world titles, FTR was basically following him and getting all the promotions tag titles.
Yep. NXT, both Raw and SmackDown, if I remember right. Impact, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor. They've literally held it in every company, all the titles in every company we cover on the multiverse. So, there you go. FTR is the greatest tag team to have success outside of WWE.
Yes. In the last 24 years.
In the last 23 years, exactly, which can only mean one thing.
Yes.
Much though they are no longer a team. You, nor I, nor anybody cannot fail to acknowledge the greatness of the greatest tag team in this century.
I have
Jimmy
a
and
question.
Jay.
Are you feeling Usi?
I am feeling Usi. Jimmy and Jay. The Usos, man. Again. Never. We play a game in school, kids. Never have I ever. It's not never, ever, ever, but in the last 10 years, never have I felt more emotion than when I'm watching these boys and their family on my television in wrestling. Them and their baby brother, the crazy Solo Sikoa, and their cousin evokes such emotion. And oh yeah, they went on to eclipse the New Day's run and became the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions of all time. But yeah, in dominant fashion.
Yes.
Unlike their cousin who needed their help, the Usos did it maybe with chicanery and shenanigans, but it was still primarily just them doing the chicanery and shenanigans. They still held the titles themselves. They weren't winning championships for their cousin. Like they were winning championships for their cousin. He was not doing the same for them. And I will scream bias. I don't give a shit if it is. I love these guys' father. I will forever. If I could just get my damn hair to grow out, I could really become the honoraries that I was originally named back in 2004. Got the same Sami Zayn look anyway. A little more of that ginger hair for that ginger snap, and I'm good to go.
Yes.
But the Usos are the greatest team of this last 23 plus years.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Yes, they've competed in WWE and their subsidiaries. Accepted. But look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie.
Yes.
They were the longest reigning champions at a time that the company was its most profitable, most revenue being drawn, most merch sales being sold, most tickets being sold. And they were part of the storyline that was making that a reality.
Yep.
Having bangers matches in the process.
And I don't think it is as much of them being tied to the hip as Josh says. You know, they did the work. The big difference between them and the New Day is that different variations of the New Day held the titles.
Yes.
They were doing it under the Freebird rule.
Yep.
It is just Jimmy and Jay.
Yep.
From face paint and dancing their way to the ring to being the ones.
I don't think the New Day on their own against an opponent would have been a WrestleMania main event worthy program.
And that's the key. The New Day would not have sold WrestleMania out.
Nope.
The Usos would.
And
especially at the point that they did. Well, if we're being fair, the name WrestleMania sold WrestleMania out.
Fair.
It's just like the Super Bowl sells the Super Bowl out. You know, the Super Bowl this year is February 11th. Tickets could go on sale February 12th for the next year's Super Bowl. It'll sell out.
That's fair. That's fair.
You could get the two shittiest teams in the league in there. It doesn't matter who it is. It sells out on the strength of the name.
Fair. I retract it.
That's why we've been treated to such shitty main events in the past.
Fair. Along with this guy,
but even outside of WrestleMania, how many main events have the Usos or a member of the Usos closed out, and how many have a member of the New Day closed out?
Yep.
Even when Big E was champion, did he ever main event a pay-per-view, or did someone else have that slot away from him? Was he basically the CM Punk World Heavyweight Champion? Yeah, you're the champion, but you're down here.
Yeah.
Just
think
saying.
about it this way. You were in the commentary booth last year with no. Emotional though it was.
Yes.
I remember being in the crowd going, there's no way anybody's going to be able to follow Charlotte and Rhea. Oh, but they did. There was only one match that ever could have main evented over Charlotte and Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
Because the story was so strong, because there was so much emotion tied to those two men and Sami and Kevin.
And I still think it was the wrong decision. As much as I can't stand the female woo, I still think it's the wrong decision, because the fact that we could have had a Flair and a Rhodes main eventing WrestleMania,
yep,
that's money right there. There's marketing behind that.
Yep, and it would have been the first time
not to do it.
Yep,
and it would have been happen again. Maybe, but that was the moment.
Yeah, and if I remember right, it would have been the first time that the Royal Rumble winners, plural, since there's been a top opportunity for that, have both been in the last match. Because Cody won the Rumble, he main evented. Rhea won the Rumble, she semi-main. The year before, it was Brock and Bianca, but Kevin Owens and Steve Austin got the last segment of that year. The year before that, it may have happened, I think. But it hasn't happened consecutively. And other than the Royal Rumble winner and the Rhodes Flair marketability, I don't think any other match on that entire 2 days could have logically, logistically, emotionally followed Charlotte and Rhea, except for the Usos and their title defense. And they made a believer out of me again, boy, because I was fighting hard against cheering for Sami and Kevin, but damn it, I was sobbing like a baby when it was all said and done. Those 4 men made me believe. And I will only agree with you or agreeing with me if the Rumble winner is a viable storyline between Saturday and April 6th. The story has to be there. I've heard it said time and time again. I've co-signed on it time and time again. You know.
It happened at Mania 37.
Yeah, it did. And that was the last time it happened. Well, only time it happened, because there's only been 2 Rumble winners since 2018. So, but again, it wasn't 2 nights until pandemic, so it's only been the last 4 WrestleManias where we've had 2 nights. And to the point made last night during the comments and during the show itself, Hogan could win the Rumble Saturday night, but he ain't put him in a WrestleMania main event. Come on. Unless the story's good.
Roman versus Hogan.
Do you want a dead Hulk Hogan? Because I think a dead Hulk Hogan.
I mean, I think Josh would like it.
I think he wants it.
Because, he never did anything for the business. So, let me ask you this. How could you make 40 years of Hulk Hogan bigger than having him challenge the tribal chief?
Having him win. And the meltdown of the internet wrestling community.
Especially Josh. Oh, my God. And no, sir, I will not choose.
No. No. You knew who melted down more than Josh would be for you. He would lose his mind.
That would be hilarious.
Oh, we probably have to put your daughter in the hospital if it happens, to be fair. It'd be bad enough if one of his own family beat him. If Hogan beats him, holy shit.
Becky is not going to win.
Hey,
y'all
what?
need to stop thinking that it's going to be Becky. The money match at Mania is Becky, Bayley, and assuming they come back, Sasha and Trin against Damage Control. I said it on the review. I will say it again here. I firmly believe the original plan before Charlotte had to go fuck things up was for the 4 horsewomen to take on Damage Control.
I'm cracking on Hogan. He's still picking on Charlotte. Fuck me, man. I can't win
and
today.
Because Charlotte couldn't, do Charlotte things, replace her with Trin. That way you got Sasha and Trin back together. You got Sasha Bayley back together. You got 3 of the horsewomen together versus Damage Control.
And you have on Hawaii in the main event. Even still, both nights.
And as far as the winner of the Rumble, I don't want her. You've got Liv. You've got Jade. You've got Nia. You've got Raquel. You've got a potential AJ Lee. There's so many other ways that you could go with this.
But the way we are going to go is to avoid that.
We don't need Becky Lynch. We need to keep the horsewomen away from the title. Except for Bayley, because she's been held down for a minute. She deserves it.
Yeah.
And I will agree Becky versus Rhea is money. But if we're being 100% honest with ourselves, Josh, people don't pay to go to Mania to see the women's title match.
That's fair.
It is the way it is.
Yeah.
You want Becky versus Rhea? Put that shit in Perth, Australia.
There you go. I'm here for that.
Since Rhea's already on the freaking poster and they're billing this thing as she's probably going to be the main event.
Yes.
Let her fight Becky there. That's a money match. Not at WrestleMania.
And to the other comment, where was Phil Brooks in first Survivor Series? Throwing out there. Yeah. Anyway, moving right along before I get in trouble.
I don't want it to be Liv, but that makes sense from a storytelling perspective. Liv and Rhea were tag champs. Liv got dropped like a bad habit so Rhea could join Judgment Day. Rhea is now the freaking world champion. Liv gets ready to make her return, goes after Rhea for revenge. That makes sense. I don't want it because I can't stand Liv. We saw how great of a champion she made last time.
Yeah.
So, no.
You can ask the dads again coming up later in the week on Open Mic Night when I'm there for part of the show and Jay's there hosting the show. But for now, we shall shill. That's what we do around here. We don't do shows. We just shill shit at this point. Where are we at here? Oh, there. If, for whatever reason, you missed this man's review of last Friday's SmackDown, last Friday's Rampage, last Saturday's Collision, it is up in the Casa Studios archives. Go check that shit out over at the Casa Studios. And again, JJ, I have to point out, because you pointed out this morning, you love to see the protection on Randy Orton's back. Beautiful stuff there. Great screen capture. Beautiful stuff. If you missed this morning's For Love of Wrestling covering Raw, well, we all did because it didn't happen. However,
I will do Raw along with NXT tomorrow to make up for it.
Yeah, whoop, there, I almost dropped my phone. However, we did go in depth about the big news regarding Raw's new home coming up next year and the newest board member of TKO. So check that out in the archives from this morning on both our channels as well. Tomorrow, you can catch also in the archives today's episode of Stat Boy Sports Bar, which happened right before we went on the air today, a little over an hour ago. So check that out as well. They also covered the news on Dwayne Johnson and the new home of Monday Night Raw. It's fun to have. Tomorrow, in addition to JJ recapping Raw, he will also be recapping NXT, so be on the lookout for that. There'll be a much better splash image because there's going to be some shit happening here in about 2 hours, so be on the lookout for that.
We
Also
acknowledge
tomorrow,
the fact that shit is already happening, but
yes,
you know, we won't get to see it for another hour and 45 minutes roughly. So
gotta get some din in our bellies first, and hopefully go lose some of the process because I'm hungry and I'm tired. Also tomorrow, the annual Greg Cherry brand Royal Rumble members draw, this year supporting the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Special start time for the Greg Cherry Show tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. So be on the lookout for that. Alert, special start time. Again, yes. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Pacific tomorrow. Going to be a cool show. I always enjoy it.
I'm curious to see what my number is going to be.
Definitely. And Greg got out the tweet of the day so far because he put up a picture of him setting the tumblers up with the number balls and everything. He goes, "I apologize for putting my balls out there without warning first." I'm like, I just did a gift for the Rock Owen Bravo. That's good stuff. Tweet of the day so far. I said what I said. Damn it. Every once in a while, Greg gets off a singer. It's like, very good. On Thursday, you can check out JJ's review of AEW Dynamite on For the Love of Wrestling, as well as Meach's Musings in their usual time slots. Friday, JJ, for now, is still reviewing TNA Impact. You can check it out Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. You can also check out JJ, Noah, and the gang simply predicting the Royal Rumble, which that show will air Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. I unfortunately will not be able to be there, much to my funny bone chagrin, because that's always a good time watching you guys predict the pay-per-views, because it is a fun atmosphere to be around. But I will see at 5 o'clock. I'll probably be knee deep in the mountains heading between here and the Antelope Valley, so there'll be signal worth dog shit. So it'll be what it'll be. But you guys have fun because you'll be predicting the official start of the road to WrestleMania. We will have our coverage of that show coming up Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific, across the multiverse of media. Yes. And, of course, followed immediately by everyone's favorite Saturday night Brandon Shenanigans open mic night, hosted and moderated by this guy right here, JJ Williams.
Yes.
I may or may not be there briefly. It depends if we get a proper start time. It's Vegas. Yeah, right.
What you need to do is, as we come on the air, you need to have Jenna bring us on the air.
There you go. I like that. If we get away with it, I have her start, welcome to the
No, just have her do like a "Are you ready to rock" type of thing.
That's it. There you go. I will work on that. I'll work on that. Good question.
That is not something I can answer.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Datilla is watching currently or if she's going to have to watch it at the West Coast time.
Yes, that's true.
So, yeah, I'm not the host, moderator, producer of Rangers of Wrestling, so I'm not the person to ask about that. But if she's going to go live and discuss it, then I will go live with her. That way I can help carry her through, especially since she missed last week due to shenanigans on her end coming back from Hard to Kill and everything.
Yes. They will carry on, Josh, my wayward son. There'll be peace when they are done. Lay a weary head to rest.
Well, you can also always tune in tomorrow to actually, For the Love of Wrestling and support my show where I discuss it. But I digress.
As we were alluding to, and JJ point out a very good marketing idea of having Jenna open the show. The reason we'll have Jenna open the show on Saturday is because I'm going to be seeing Paradise Kitty.
Yes.
Yay! Always good to
Yes,
see the girls.
A band that he's never seen before at all in his lifetime.
Ever.
Only been best friends with the lead singer since what, like third grade?
6, but it's still a very long time.
A little bit off, but I was close.
Yeah. I will give the year out because I've been allowed to at this point. We've been friends for this year, this coming fall semester of school, 30 years. 40 years Hulkamania, 30 years friendship with Jenna. 2024 is a good year. Faux show. But yes, I'll be up there with Paradise Kitty. As I said this morning on our stream, as I said during Saturday Sports Bar, a lot of the non-wrestling fans of Jeff Meacham are going to be there hanging out because they all seem to live up there now. It feels like so. We'll be hanging out, and of course, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with the next episode of Dads. I don't remember what we had planned for that, nor do I have a graphic ready, but we will be back with Dads. It's going to be on Tuesdays, at least for the time being, because of my son's new schedule. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout.
If memory serves me correctly, good sir, the next episode of Dads was going to be on a Friday.
Yes, that's true. That's fair.
Because it is a very special episode of Dads.
It is. That's right.
It will be 60 years to the date that the Beatles appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show.
So I have a really big shoe that day.
And we will be doing the top 10 Beatles songs of all time.
It may have to be a collaboration.
I'm hoping that my dad will be able to come back and join us. I am hoping that Bossman Rift will be able to join us.
I was going to say, can we count Pet Dads? Because I really want her to be on that show. and
you do that, Mansfield. Just like the new seat on the board of directors. You know your role and you shut your mouth. Why do we have an open mic night graphic?
I don't know. It shouldn't be there. Hang on. I don't know why it's even there. Give me a second.
Yeah, I've never seen that image.
I know. I was trying to record a new opening for after the pay-per-views. What I was trying to find, now that I botched it completely, was know your role, Josh, and
shut the fuck up, Josh.
I was trying to do, but I botched it. So anyway, crap.
Big time botch, Jesus.
I know. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna have a really cool thing, like when we left the pay-per-view and had the stream for the Mug Night start, had it be like the press conference openings, just begins momentarily, and then have the castle opening. But I ruined the surprise. I ruined everything. It is what it is.
Yeah, Josh, do your homework, bro.
I don't have that one loaded in. I had to take shit out today. But yeah, this is going to be one of those episodes.
First of all, you spelled it Beetles.
That's it.
You're fired.
I'm going back into the studio for this one. Where the hell is it? Damn it, I need to find it now. Name made me mad.
What are you, a fucking piece of shit?
Wait. Or
shut your bitch ass up.
There we go. I like that one better. I'm not good with spelling. Excuses. Oh, terrible. We gotta get off here before we get in real trouble. Yeah.
But yes, the next episode of Dads will be on Friday, February 9th.
Yes.
As we count down the top 10 Beatles songs of all time.
Yes.
If we cannot get the special guests, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I want you to have to take a cop out and do a joint list. You were able to put something together for the solo. Why can't you put something together for the group?
I don't know. I'll try. I do enjoy
Spotify. Listen to the albums.
I know.
Make your list.
I will. I'll even check it twice. Take us home, Jade, before I start getting really mad at this kid.
All right. We want to thank you guys for tuning in and joining us tonight for the first of many Tuesday night episodes of the Dads, Not Always on Wrestling.
Yes.
For the West Coast Professor, Jeff motherfucking Meacham.
Yeah, buddy.
I am, of course, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. Thank you all for joining us and tuning in. And we will see you guys tomorrow for the Great Cherry Show and for the love of wrestling.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.